Two opposite scenarios in your city group. In the first scenario, nobody else is talking in the discussion. It's just you asking questions and then answering your own questions. Or in the opposite scenario, somebody is talking, but they are dominating the conversation. They have no self-awareness about how long they've been blabbering. What do we do in those situations? In this video, I want to give you some city group help on what to do when you have quiet or loud people. Define the mission, describe the present, and diagnose the problems. Again, our mission is to lead city groups as small communities that live out our core identities together in rhythms of family gatherings, neighborhood mission, and intentional growth. Now, that last rhythm, intentional growth, could also be called spiritual formation or personal development. We are coaches, we're guides, we're teachers who have a unique position to speak into somebody's life. This means that we are called to encourage someone when they're doing something that is good and wise, and we're also called to tell a brother or sister when they're doing something that is wrong or foolish. We are the leaders of this little city group family, and that means we don't have the luxury to sit back passively when we see something wrong in the dynamics of the group, like somebody talking too much or talking too little. Leadership is both influence and responsibility. So when we see something, we should be the ones to decide, here's how I want to approach this situation. Here's what I want to do to try and make things better. Next, describe the present. What are your discussion times like? Maybe write down some specific issues that you've noticed, as well as some positive things. Write down the name of every member of your group, and then make a note of how do they act at discussion time. This person is silent. I can never get them to talk. I'm not even certain they can talk. This person is quiet, but I can tell they're listening and they're engaged. I can't get this person to stop talking, but mostly they stay on topic. This person wants to hijack the conversation and wander off in any direction they want. Also, while you're doing this, make a note of what you guys are discussing, whether that's the sermon or a book or a video. Kind of paint a picture of a typical family night. Finally, diagnose the problems. Think creatively about the people you're identifying as problematic, and wonder about why they might be speaking a lot or not at all. What might be behind this? Think about your own style of leading discussions. Write down any potential issues with the questions you ask or the way that you ask them. Also think about the group as a whole. Do you get the sense that your group trusts each other? That somebody feels safe to share a potentially controversial thought and knows they won't be attacked or shot down? Is your group comfortable with questions, with doubts, with concerns? Whatever is going on, a bit of reflection here will likely give you some clarity about the dynamics of your group. What are the unspoken rules that people just seem to follow in this group? I want to recommend a previous video I made called City Groups 101 How to Lead Discussions. It's linked below. In the video, I discuss the practical principles for leading a group discussion, including how to ask good questions, how to handle some common issues that might arise. Let me share just a few more tips that can help specifically with quiet or loud people. First, name the process. In group dynamics, often the most helpful thing is to talk about the group itself and what you observe. This doesn't need to be a serious state of the city group address. It can be more casual, like a family chat, or disarming, like poking fun at ourselves. Man, we're all feeling really quiet tonight, huh? Are we all depressed about how the Vikings are playing? There's a way to do this that is non-threatening. It might also be a quiet conversation between you and the person in question to say, hey, I love having you in this group. The last few meetings you've been answering every single question, and I want to make sure that some other folks have the chance to chime in. Does that make sense? The person might have had no idea that that was happening, and you can bring some self-awareness there. The goal is to gently address the problem without making it about the person. It's even better if you can get them on your side to solve the problem. What do you think we could do to get everybody else in the group talking? Do you have any ideas? Second, break the ice. As I mentioned earlier, some of the tension you might be feeling is because your group needs to know each other better, to learn each other's quirks, to get comfortable enough to talk even if you're shy, and to listen to others even if you're pretty talkative. Maybe this looks like an actual icebreaker question every family night. You can find some really funny ones online. Or maybe it's planning a few social events where people can grow more comfortable with each other. Another good advantage to an icebreaker question is that it forces everybody in the circle to talk, which leads me to number 3. Refine your questions. The video on leading discussions talks about open-ended versus closed questions, meaning how or why or what do you think questions versus yes or no. Maybe take some time crafting or reworking some questions so that you're prepared for a lot of different kinds of situations. One example is coming up with a question that requires everyone to answer. All right, we're going to take a poll here. Do you think it's option A or option B? Let's go around the circle. Or another example is a question directed toward a specific subset of the group. I think this verse has a lot of implications for women in the church. So let me ask the ladies here, what do you think about this? You can even get creative. A question like, if you had to choose one word to describe Jesus in this story, what word would that be? Maybe some of the problems with a quiet or a loud person is that you're setting them up poorly. So give some thought as to what kinds of questions your group needs. Finally, create other spaces. What I mean is create opportunities for different kinds of conversations. A large group discussion is not always where everyone shines. Some people get so anxious in larger groups that they talk anxiously or they shut down. Some people take time to process their answers, but a group setting doesn't allow much space for reflection. Some people need to vent about something that is massive in their lives, but because city group is the most convenient place to let it all out, they talk and talk and talk. So maybe what some people need in your group are different places and times to open up, like DNA groups or one-on-one chats or backyard barbecues. In the case of a quiet person, it might give them a chance to process what they've been thinking about and holding back. In the case of a loud person, it might give you an opportunity to say, hey, I know you've got a lot on your mind. Maybe we can get into it more deeply at men's group next week. The point is meant just to remind you that not everyone is good at group discussions, and that's okay, so long as we give them other places to talk. What if I need more help? Feel free to call in me or one of the other pastors or elders. We might be able to give you some advice on how to lead a certain person. Leadership, and especially leading discussion, is so much more of an art than a science. But throughout it all, our guiding principle is this: how do I love the people that are right in front of me? How do I love my group as I lead them and serve them? I hope that city group help was helpful. Until next time, leaders.